You got one running back, it's right here, Mr. James Conner, and then you have one tight end, right? We talked about that the last time we did this thing, right? So first digit always for the running backs, second digit is always for the number of tight ends. So this is 11 personnel, okay? One back, one tight end. Now, they start out in empty, and you do this for a couple of reasons, especially with young quarterbacks. When you get in empty, two things are going to happen. Number one, whatever coverage they are in from a defensive standpoint, they will tip their hand because they're going to have to walk out and make their adjustments because it's empty. And obviously, you're going to be stressed out a little bit trying to disguise with, guys just standing over here wide open. So you see the Browns already, as we play this in slow motion as well, starting to make adjustments. This guy's talking a little bit. Now, once you get James to go back to the back foot, before I even get to that point, when I talked about the two things that could happen, the first thing being what? They're going to tip their hand. But the second thing is this. You can potentially get them to do an empty check. Now, every team has an empty check, right? And you have to have this because empty formations, certain defensive calls, they're not meant for empty because obviously those are 5 eligible wide receivers and some defenses just can't handle the stress of that. So you have to make a check, get you into something that's a little bit more, Swiss Army knife style. You can use it in any scenario. So with the Browns, what they do here, they check to cover 3. That was their empty check that they went with. They ran cover 3 and they ran a lot of cover 2 because obviously last year, Mason Rudolph struggled with what? Cover 2, but it was the Tampa 2 version. That's where he threw the 2 interceptions. So we saw a lot of both of those coverages, okay? So now, as James motions back, they've already made their empty check. So for Mason, he knows whatever they checked into ahead of time, they're not going to check out of this thing, all right? So now he kind of has an idea of the coverage. And what they're running on defense is a cover 3 concept, but they have a slightly different twist to how they run their cover 3. So first off, let's just talk about the basics of cover 3, right? Wind this back a little bit. And once I pull up the full defense, I'll check the questions, all right? So right here, when we're talking about cover 3, typically how it works is what? This guy has that, safety right here in the middle. This backside corner has that 3, right? So you got your 3 high look, 1, 2, 3 high. And then this guy is curl flat. He'll be your hook curl. It's gotta be your hook curl over here. And he'll be your curl flat defender there. So we call it what? A 4 underneath, 3 deep. That's when you hear people say 4 underneath, 3 deep, this is exactly what they're talking about because you can count it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders underneath, 1, 2, 3 defenders deep, all right? So that's the basics of what they were running, okay? But what they do that is slightly different, all right? They ran their cover 3, but they locked the backside, meaning this guy right here, they locked them, and from here, they played it like this right here. 1, 2, he buzzes out here, hook, hook. This guy though, this remaining guy right here, he is what we call a robber, okay? This guy right here is playing a robber technique. He's not responsible for anyone in particular, but he's looking at this guy, which is Juju and Vance McDonald, and he's trying to take any of these routes that are gonna come in this area, he's trying to take them away, okay? So that's what he's doing right now, and we can see that a little bit once this play gets a little bit, I'll skip it to right here. So you see, he went from there to there. That's the only place he was trying to get to, okay? Here it is again. Just the slow-mo version of it. Just so you can see where he's trying to get to. Right in that window, right? Because we know Pittsburgh, man. Juju, Vance, they like to get in this area right here above the ball, about 10 to 20 yards, okay? That's their sweet spot. So the Browns knew that going in, so they made this guy solely responsible for this area, okay? So he's still playing cover 3, he's playing cover 3. All these guys are playing cover 3. These 2 guys right here are switches for. He's locked on Deontay on the backside, and like I said, this guy's robbing the dig route, okay? So let me exit out of here real quick and see if we have any questions first off. Okay. Hey, shout out to my man Eli. You're never late, baby. You're always on time. All right? All right. Okay, yeah, Big Wiggly, you're right about that, man. We did end up with Landry on Williamson a little bit too much. Avery was trying his best in that scenario, but yeah, he definitely was short-handed right there, man. All right, but I don't see any accuracy with our first. Okay. All right, cool. So let's get back to this real quick. Oh, and y'all know too, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the thing, but 2 things. Number 1, let me know where you're coming in from, man. Let me know where you're watching from. You know, I love that. It makes me feel more at home, makes me feel more, connected with y'all. So let me know where you're watching from. As always, I'm in good old Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, babe. I need to adjust the heat, man. I am baking in here right now. But such is life in 2021, baby. So like I said, let me know where you're watching from. Also, if you're liking what you're seeing, you're liking the video, click the like button. But also, if you're a new person, a new viewer, hit that subscribe button, man, because we got plenty of content and join the family, baby. But back to the scheduled programming here, all right? So let's get right back to the top of this thing. So we said right now that what? The Browns are playing a cover 3 concept, but they're locking the backside, right? And they got this safety who typically would be a curl flat defender. He's robbing the dig routes, right? With heavy focus on Juju and Vance McDonald. Now, for the Steelers, we said they came out of empty personnel and they motioned it back out of empty, all right? So we know right now that Mason knows the call. And now, it's all about where Mason wants to go with this ball, okay? So when we talk about front side versus back side of a formation, this is what we mean. These 3 receivers over here, wherever your passing strength is, meaning wherever you have more eligible receivers, that is always going to be deemed the front side of the formation, okay? And then obviously you got the backside. Now, typically the receiver on the backside, that has to be a bad dude because he's not going to have the luxury of, bunches to his side. He's not going to have the luxury of other guys running routes in his area to free him up. You got to be a big dog on the backside of the formation, all right? But the thing that I was a little bit surprised with was Cleveland challenging Mason like this. Now, we understand, the quarterback play, a little bit of the deep balls have been the Achilles heel of the team this year, right? We said, man, the completion percentages on some of these 30-plus yard passes isn't what we would like to see it. So the Browns took that to heart. And when you talk about challenging I haven't seen this particular coverage concept since college, high school, because a lot of times this receiver on the backside, unless you have a stud backside corner, I'm talking a Jalen Ramsey type, right? Obviously Joe Hayden, he was there in his career at times. Trey White, different guys like that. You could play those coverages predominantly with them because they're great man-to-man cover guys. But if you have a team like the Browns, who we knew going into this game didn't have the starting corners that they were accustomed to, obviously between COVID and injuries, you don't typically play this type of coverage like that without having marquee corners because these type of things can happen. Mason knows right now, even with the pressure that Mason is facing as the pocket collapses, and we'll get on that as well, especially at the end zone copy, he knows where he wants to go with this ball, and that's the biggest thing that saves him in this scenario because he honestly doesn't have a ton of time from the time he catches the snap to setting up and throwing the ball. We're just going to look at where Deontay is. At the time, Deontay and this corner are pretty much even, but he knows Deontay has that separation, and great job by Deontay giving himself enough space with the route that he runs. But right now, look at where Mason's throwing this. He's getting hit right now, ball's in the air. Technically, Deontay's trailing him. Technically, Deontay has not won this route. This is great anticipation by Mason and great confidence and belief in Deontay. But more so for Deontay, great route running right here, man. It's a simple vertical, right? But if you do not allow yourself enough space, and we're talking, when we speak space, we're talking this right here to the sideline, right? You want to make sure that you have enough room to not only run the route, but catch the ball and get 2 feet in bounds, depending on, obviously where the ball's thrown, but you want to give yourself enough space to do that. And he does a great job of that. And then, as I rewind this back real quick, let's just look at this ball placement as well, man. So you can see this is a perfectly thrown deep ball right here. I mean, we understand that obviously last year we didn't see a lot of this from Mason, so we rightfully so criticized him. We questioned whether he could do it consistently. This game, now granted it was only one game, small sample size, but he did a really good job throwing the deep ball. And honestly, it dates back to what we saw in the second half of that Jets game that he came in for last year as well. But this is beautiful ball placement. Like I said, this is NFL open. He wasn't making these throws last year, but this is big time improvement right here. Ball placed on the outside, top shoulder pocket, or top shirt pocket, that's how we like to say it, okay? And the reason we say top shirt pocket is just because if you got a button-up shirt as a man, some of them have little pockets on them, that's it. But where he's putting that ball at, only Deontay can get there, along with the fact Deontay has more than enough room to secure the catch and stay in bounds, and the defender can't do anything about that. So that's why I thought this was a beautiful throw and just beautiful execution by Deontay, all right? But that coverage concept that they're doing, I mean, just look at this thing one more time. I'm gonna rewind it back for you. I mean, this is crazy. Like I said, I don't see a lot of this at this level, man. This guy has not looked at Deontay one time. I mean, wow. Takes a lot of guts, man. Takes a lot of guts. But honestly, Mason wore this coverage out time after time. And honestly, watching the tape, he had this same coverage or this same matchup probably 6 or 7 times, and he didn't even look there. He would look front side and take what the defense was giving him. But as a whole, man, like I said, that is dangerous business if you don't have premier cover corner guys on the backside to play a coverage like that. So let me go check some questions before we hit to this end zone copy real quick. Oh yeah, I love the check-in, man. Shout out to everybody. Let's go through here real quick, baby. All right. All right. Okay. Would you consider a coaching job? JK, man, that's a good question. Would I consider a coaching job if it was given to me? The answer is no. Not at this stage in my career. Honestly, man, I'm enjoying this time, right? Being able to create my own schedule. I love the fact that I'm able to spend time with my family. Coaching is worse than playing in terms of the amount of time that you spend away from it. So that's the biggest reason why I definitely right now would not get into coaching. But I did get an offer. I did turn it down though. So that's that. But it was all good though. So let's see, man. All right. Oh, big wiggle. So yes, for a robber, when you're talking about skinny post crossing routes, without a doubt, and that's definitely what that guy is doing right there. So when I speak of a robber technique, that's definitely what we're talking about. Any of those crossing routes, anything that's 10 to 15 yards that's going to be ending up in the middle of the field, that particular player right there, the robber safety, that's all he is looking for. All right. All right, Eli, you already know 757 in the building. Shout out to Jarrell over in Dayton, Ohio. We got Michael coming in from Parma, Ohio. Got Orlando. All right, Terry, I might butcher this. Yakapa. Y'all see this? Y'all pronounce this, tell me how I said it, all right? Yakapa, California. We got H-Town in the building. Ooh, shout out to this. Okay, I like it. All the way in Phoenix. Okay. Got rolled out. I'm liking this Tijuana, New Mexico. Oh yeah. We here tonight. We're here. Puerto Rico. And shout out to you, Jason. This is better than TV or Netflix. I appreciate you, baby. I think the same, but some people sound biased. But anywho, let's get back to this tape, right? So we talked about that coverage. Now let's look at this thing from the end zone copy, because there you're gonna really see a lot more in terms of the protection and why this throw is even more impressive for Mason, man. All right, so I'm gonna play at full speed first so you can just see a little bit of the, well, actually, no, we'll slow it down so we can just see this action real quick. Actually, I'm indecisive. We're gonna play at full speed. All right. So you get a little glimpse of what's going on here. Now, this thing was funny about the Browns, man. They were really hunting certain matchups, man. Obviously, we were talking about some of the cover 3 stuff with the man-to-man on the backside. This particular rush front, though, if you notice this, you got what? 1, this guy down here, 2, 3. This is 3 D linemen all on what? One side of the ball. Then over here, who do you have? Myles Garrett by himself. And the reason is this. They are hunting the one-on-one with Myles and Al Villanueva. Now, it's beautiful. When you watch this matchup on tape, you see these guys go back and forth. Obviously, Myles has some success, but in terms of his bull rush and some of the things like that. But then Al does a good job with some of his change-ups, some of his trap blocks with his hands and stuff like that to just throw Myles off. But on this particular play, man, they were hunting this matchup. And honestly, man, they definitely got what they were looking for here, man. So as we play this play, All right. Let's speed this up a little bit. All right, so right now, like I said, they're getting this one-on-one right now. And then they're essentially creating a one-on-one right here on DeCastro, okay? And obviously on the backside, because when you have young tackles, number one, they got Chooks, he's kind of young, but also you have these premier edge guys in terms of Myles Garrett and obviously Olivier Vernon, who was right around 10 sacks this year as well. You want to create as many one-on-ones as you can, but you also want to avoid the slide protections, right? And some of the chips and things like that. So that 3 defenders on one side alignment is solely to make them, is to make this O-line have to slide the protection this way and force them to give you a one-on-one on the backside, because obviously Dotson would be helping him otherwise. But what ends up happening is once this guy crosses the center, he does a good job initially of taking up 2, right? You see how Dotson is still connected with him and JC is connected as well. Problem is he doesn't continue on with the pressure, so now Dotson can come off and help out a little bit. But this pressure right here is what Mason feels the most. I mean, right now, before the ball is thrown, DeCastro is pretty much on his foot right now, okay? And then from there, even when the ball is thrown, you see what, hand on the shoulder, he really can't even follow through. Along with the fact that on the backside, you got the tackles kind of getting collapsed down by Myles. Now, granted, Dotson helps him out and he's able to anchor, but man, this is a very, very tight window to throw this ball. And when you talk about the accuracy that we pointed out on the front end of it, right, from the sideline copy where you saw the ball placed outside, perfect top shelf. I mean, you look at that throw and you look at what he's throwing in. I mean, that is crazy. We were not seeing this last year from Mason at all, falling back and everything. But ultimately, man, big time throw by him, big time throw. Like I said, he couldn't even step into it. And that ball is perfectly placed out there. Great hands catch by Deontay. Even better fundamentals though. His eyes are where? Eyes on the ball, because we said, what, with Deontay, the times that he struggled with his catching, it hasn't been because his hands stopped working. No, he stopped looking the ball and he was more concerned with, you know, getting upfield and making a guy miss instead of securing the catch, working the fundamentals first. Great job by him though right here, man. But once again, man, when we look at this rush though, like I said, man, you start with the 3x1 just to force the slide protection to get your one-on-ones. And from here, for DeCastro, just has to be a little bit better with his hands at the start of this thing, right? Because that's the biggest problem. We're talking about offensive linemen, man, hand placement. Who gets to that steering wheel first? When we're saying steering wheel, we're talking these numbers, your chest plate, right? Who gets their hands inside first is ultimately the person that's going to control the other person, whether you're on offense or defense, all right? But right here, you see him, inside hand, DeCastro's hands on the outside. And then when DeCastro goes to replace it, he's not able to get it off of him in time. And that's why he was giving up ground. If his hands are inside, it stops it. That's the biggest difference with that right there. But good job. It was a good rush by 98. Once you get your hands inside like that, lean on the long arm bull, and then obviously when the offensive lineman, once you feel their body starting to change that pressure to counter what you're doing, now you get your hands off, which he does. Skies the rip. Well, right here, he couldn't sky the rip because obviously he caught his backhand, but he still reached for him with the front side. But really good job by him right there. But for Mason Rudolph, this is a big time grown man throw right here. All right, let's get back to these questions. See if we got anything. Hey, Tyler Morris, man, you don't want me out there, baby. Trust me, you don't want me suiting up, baby. Not at this stage. Oh, no. I'm what they call washed. I'm great ahead of. Hey, Chris, you're right, man. That was a monster of a bull, man. All right, let's see. Dog check. Go Browns. Hey, Derek, man, the fact that you tune in, baby, it's major love. I'm not tripping. We're going to see you this weekend, though. Keep that same energy. That's all. Keep that same energy. And Connor, for the game this week, yes, we are planning to do a live stream. Obviously, as we get a little bit closer, man, I'll set up the stream and everything like that. But yes, that's definitely the plan. All right, and Big Google, in terms of Matt Fowler practicing today, I'm not sure just yet because typically today is their scheduled off day. Obviously, because it's today is Wednesday, so yes, I will check that. But I believe he was supposed to come back to practice this week, so we will follow up with that. Oh, here we go. It's a good question. Why didn't McDonald chip on Myles Garrett? So let's go look at it real quick, right? Let's see what you got going on, Mr. Vance. Okay. So for Vance, I know why. Because for Vance, remember when we talked about the wide angle, right? We said, where is Vance running? Vance is getting to that dig spot, right? The 15, 20 yards over the center, right? Because this is the spot he's hunting. That's where the ball was snapped, okay? So that's the biggest reason. If Vance was running a check release, right? And that's what you're implying in terms of him chipping Myles Garrett, right? Giving him a little bit of hope and then releasing out. You're not gonna run a vertical route if that's your responsibility. So I think it was because of the route concept with him having to get to this spot, and it's a timing thing as well. If he's not there soon enough, this guy can go find somebody else to help out on, whether it's Deontay coming in on a deep end or whatever, right? But understanding that's why he's not allowed to chip this guy. He has to go right now. If Vance was running a drag, not even a drag, because then similar concept, but anything that's gonna be short to underneath, right? Talking within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, then you're gonna have him chip and help in the protection. It's one of those things though, every call, right? You have some calls where you might have the guard on the island. You might have a call where you're gonna have the tackles on the island. Somebody is gonna get the short end of the stick because you can't do the same thing over and over, right? And on this play right here, man, it just so happened that Al drew the short end, and this was a really good rush by Myles too, man. Once again, right inside him, we can see it a lot better from the sideline copy. Dotson does a good job though of helping him, and Dotson's been playing really well in terms of some of the things that he's been able to do when he's getting opportunities. But to me, that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest reason why they didn't use Vance as a chipper on that play right there. All right, let me see what else we have. Man, and in terms of Ben Sports, in terms of what I think about Dobbs, I was very impressed. A little bit upset we didn't see a little bit more passing options with him. We had the one play where he tried to pass it, had to make Olivier Vernon miss, and then he ends up getting rid of the ball. But they really didn't use him in that standpoint. So that was the biggest thing. But I thought as a whole, man, I thought he was good. And in terms of Joe Hayden's status, as it stands today, he is still not eligible to play because of the 10-day isolation period related to positive COVID tests. That's the policy with the NFL right now. So as it stands today, he will not be available. All right. So yeah, man, we'll play this one more time full speed, and after that, we'll go to the next play, all right? But beautiful job by, like I said, by Mason. I like the help by Dotson, and then amazing in terms of just the field awareness, knowing where you're at by Deontay, hands catching, going back to the fundamentals, the basics, man. But this was huge. This was a big play. And you love to see it. Also, man, if you're having a good time, if you're enjoying yourself, let me know, man. Put it in the comments. Let me know that you're enjoying what you're seeing, because I'm always having a blast. Y'all know how I do. All right. Now, this next play that I want to talk about is also with Deontay Johnson. Okay, and this was the second catch he had, the other 47, I think it was a 47-yarder in the fourth quarter. Now, the reason I want to break this down, because as good of a throw as that first play was that we just talked about, this next play to me is even more impressive. And I'll tell you obviously the reasons why, but we got to get to the clip first. Where are you at, Deontay, catching this 47-yard bomb? Where are you at? Oh, here we go. You rang. Just want to let y'all know too, y'all are awesome. I always tell y'all this. Anytime we get up here, I start getting all, oh yeah, I appreciate you, man, major love and respect. I just want to let y'all know it's for real. All right. But back to, regular schedule programming here. Let's go ahead and talk about this play, okay? So first we'll play it in full speed, and then after that, we'll break it down. And once again, got Deontay Johnson on the backside of the formation, okay? And honestly, they will flip-flop these guys. The plays where Chase Claypool had his he had the 2 deep catches, then obviously the touchdown pass, he was on the backside of the formation then. They rotated those guys on the backside, and rightfully so, because they are both big play capable, right? They can run by you. They are great at the catch point. They do a lot of things, man, in terms of being able to run the full route tree back there. So, like I said, with Deontay and Claypool, I feel very confident going forward with either one of those guys, man. I think they need more opportunities, especially Claypool. But this right here, we talk about Mr. Deontay. So let's play this thing in full speed real quick. All right, get hype, young man, get hype. I see you, Juju. All right, so first off, we gotta talk about the coverage here. Now, the last time we said they were running what? A cover 3 with a man-to-man ISO on the backside safety was a robber. Now, this time what they're running is a cover 4 concept, okay? And with cover 4, once again, we just break that down. Oh, that was ugly. Y'all not doing that to me. Y'all gonna be talking bad. Moats can't draw a straight line. Well, where he go to school at? No, we ain't doing that. So that's his right there. Actually, let me make this a little bit cleaner for you. This gotta be over here. So right here. He's on the other side, hash the numbers. And then he has that 4th right there between numbers to sidelines. So his job, numbers to sidelines, where he's covering. This safety right here is going to be hash the numbers. Obviously, he's going to be hash the numbers as well. You kind of overlap the in between the hashes part, and then this guy will be numbers out, all right? And then underneath, it's right here. He'll be straight back, and this guy's 3 on the backside. So all you're running, same what we said last one was what? 4 underneath, 3 deep. This is 3 underneath, 4 deep. That's all cover 4 is, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you got your 3 guys underneath. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's simple for you, okay? And then obviously for the Steelers, they're in 11 personnel. You got James Conner right there. And then you have Vance McDonald once again at tight end, okay? And they give you a different look this time, right? Last time we started out in the empty formation, and then it went to a 3-by-1 with Conner being in the backfield. This time they just come out in a line in it, and they give you a little bit of a bunch, right? Just enough. And the reason why you give them this, what we call a funky split, is because now defensively it makes you have to have a little bit more conversation. You have to ask yourself, how do we want to play this? Is this a bunch concept where we're going to work, 1, 2, 3 in tandem on these 3? Or are we treating that as just these 2 guys split out wide, them in the core, he's in the core by himself, and we play just regular cover 4? Now right here, they play it as regular cover 4, but in Pittsburgh, for example, I mean, from being in the defense, we're boxing this, where this guy will be first to the flat. He would have the high. He's going to be first inside. And then you're going to have the safety that's going to take anything that's coming, obviously, deep and inside the middle like that. That's how we would have done it. But for them, they played it this way. There is no right or wrong. It's more so personal preference. And most teams, you switch this throughout the game. So even though we're talking about it right now, still wouldn't matter, because you would not know when we're calling it, when they're not calling it. That's the beauty of it. But from there, what they're hunting is this, okay? So once again, once we start from the top, Mason is looking backside right now. And I don't have a problem with that, because he knows, man, he has a premier matchup. If this thing is any type of man-to-man, because when you get a guy that's playing off like this, you could think, okay, maybe he's going to have vertical carry. He's going to have some type of vertical responsibility. So you're not really worried about cover 2 right now, right? And then once this thing really starts to morph, you see him giving ground, now you really know, okay, we're at least either going to be full cover 4, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4 guys deep, or it's a cover 6 concept where 1 guy's deep, this guy's deep, and he'll have this whole half of the field, okay? And I'll just draw it up for you real quick. If this was cover 6, okay, this is what it would look like. This guy would be right there. This guy would be right here. And then this guy's going to have this whole half over here, okay? So it'll be quarter. We'll just call it quarter. Have a quarter of the field, and then he's responsible for this whole half over here, meaning from the numbers from the hash all the way out here, okay? But like I said, they're playing this as cover 4. He's obviously staying over top of this guy. He's doing a good job in terms of just getting his good, in terms of getting good depth. But the concept that they're running from a route standpoint, it's a 9-7-3 concept, meaning 9 is the vertical route, right? A 9 is just a fly. You got your 7, right? So 7 could be a post. This case, they're running a corner because you just want to get something. This is your long route, your long ball, right? Juju is running what we call your intermediate route, okay? So this would be the 7 portion of that 9-7 concept, right? And then the last part is the 3, something in the flat, okay? So 9-7-3 concept is just, we got something vertical that's gonna test you deep. You want an intermediate option, and then you have your short option. So that way your quarterback, and the reason you do this is this, you want your quarterback to have multiple options, but you want his reads and his progression to be easy for him as well. If he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, like that's not gonna be realistic for him, right? But for him, he can do this on the fly. He can look deep first, see if he likes the matchup. Then from there, okay, he'll come down here naturally where his eyes would go next. If he likes that, that's there. And then not, okay, safety valve. Over here, this guy's not in action right now. You can just tell by the way the play started, and with the coverage, the way these guys are over here, that's not a throw that you're gonna wanna make, all right? So that's why I definitely like this call in terms of getting an easier pass for him. Now, the thing that really impressed me though, was how aggressive he was right here. Because like we said, we didn't see a lot of this aggressiveness from Mason last year, especially on deep balls, right? That was the big thing he was criticized for. That's the thing Randy Fichtner had to answer questions about. But right here, he had this option was open. He had this option which was open, right? And we'll run it back because I know people, well, he already threw the ball. But right here, before this ball is thrown, right? Right now this ball isn't released. That's open right there. He knows these guys are ran off. They're not going to be able to make this. So you have Juju open in this area as well. So we had 2 of the short and intermediate passes there available. I like this though because this was low-key greedy, but at the same time a little bit risky, right? Because he goes for the home run here. And you got 2 defenders running with him. Now the difference is this, Deontay, he gets on top of this corner and that changes everything. And from there, because we said, what? This guy being a quarter flat defender because it was cover 4, he's not over far enough to be realistically involved in this play. Now he does a good job of getting over there because Mason has to put this ball perfect. If Mason is late with this throw, if this throw is too far inside or outside or underthrown, these 2 guys are in position, whichever side you go. So this has to be a perfectly thrown ball. And when we get to the end zone, you can really see how this ball drops in. It literally drops right in front of this defender right here. But this is a big time throw right here, man. Like I said, into double coverage. Now, granted, Deontay was still open. I felt confident with him because he is open. And a lot of times Deontay does a great job of separating at the top of the route, right? Once the ball's in the air and you got that last, second, the 2 seconds before the ball actually drops, man, when you can just create that last little bit of separation, those are the guys that can really take that next step to be an elite. AB was great at that. Guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Stephon Diggs, all of those guys are great in terms of that last little bit of separation when that ball is about to drop. So I didn't necessarily have an issue with the throw. But as a whole, man, I thought this was beautiful ball placement, man. So like I said, man, just 9-7-3 concept. But the thing that I also like is this. You get to the 9-7-3. I mean, you obviously wanted to go over here anyways, right? But you don't just line open, right? You don't just show this formation into the boundary and get a whole bunch of red flags, right? People start, antennas going up. They'll be alert for it. No, you start front side, give you attention over here, and now we're gonna naturally build this thing up. And it was beautiful. He had multiple options, man. Multiple options. And we'll look at it from the end zone, but let me just check the comments, make sure we have any questions. Okay. Hey, Mike, you're right, man. Ben has been getting criticized for not throwing it deep as well. And honestly, that second half against the Colts game was really impressive because he actually did finally connect on some of those deep balls that we've really been missing from him. Now, with Mason, like I said, he was another guy highly criticized in that department. He just happened to get this opportunity to take full advantage of it. But really, really impressed with his play as a whole. I thought, obviously he did some things that he would want to take back. That interception, atrocious, but as a whole, I thought for the circumstances and everything surrounding him, I thought he did a good job. Oh, and Forgiato, I love that name, by the way. Shout out to the Rims. So who's JC? JC, I always say JC because I butcher his last name. Hassener. So he is a backup offensive lineman, plays center and guard, but since Marquise Pouncey wasn't playing, JC Hassener got the start. So that's why I just say JC. Because yeah, I still think I said his last name wrong. It's like Hassener. Yeah, got it. All right. Drop offs to J. All right. I hope somewhere in the offs playing those drop offs. Oh, absolutely, man. Destiny, in terms of with James Conner, he's going to get some of those opportunities, man. Some of those little dunk passes that'll come back, especially more so with Ben. Ben is a lot more comfortable with some of those things like that in terms of dropping it off to him. With younger quarterbacks, it's 50-50 because if they go to the running back too much on some of these check downs, they get labeled what? That's a check down Charlie. He's not the type that's going to take risks. He's a game manager and things like that. So a lot of times young quarterbacks that aren't necessarily proven, they will come out and sometimes take, a little bit more of a chance than they necessarily need to. Whereas a veteran quarterback like Ben and some of these other premier guys, they're confident in their ability. They know that they can throw deep balls. So they understand also that, hey man, I'll take what the defense gave me right here and still live to fight another day. That's the big balance that's the big balance with quarterbacks. Elite confidence in yourself, but at the same time, respecting the defense and taking what they give you. I thought for the majority of the game, Mason did that. And the times where he did take a chance and challenge the defense, it worked out. So, like I said, it works in some of these cases, but you don't want to make a habit of challenging defenses too much in terms of double coverages and throwing into them and things like that. Hey, Jay, man, what up, baby? All the way from New Zealand. Shout out. Yes, indeed. And Mike, shout out to you too, man. So when I played for the Steelers, I played on defense, man. Outside linebacker and inside linebacker throughout my whole NFL career. Inside linebacker, outside linebacker, DN. Didn't matter. It was a 4-3, 3-4. I've played at all those positions and started at each one of them as well. Yes, indeed. Oh, and you're talking about, oh man, I'm trying to blank on his name as well. Gosh, that's my guy too. Oh man. What is the position? The wide receiver coach that, Drake, Daryl Drake, that's his name. Yes, he was the one that definitely stood up on the table and was banging for Deontay to get drafted. And it's good to see these type of things come to fruition because Deontay's a very hard worker, baby. Very hard worker. All right. Well, let's get back to the tape real quick. So, you said they were running what? Cover 4 or at worst, or at best, cover 6 because the backside, right? Either way, it's not going to change anything front side. Great job taking advantage of the 9-7-3 concept, though, and challenging these guys, right? Just because, and we would say this all the time, and Coach Tom was big on this. He says, just because you're in position, just because you got a guy covered, doesn't mean the play's over. Right now, I mean, if this is practice, these guys are probably saying, hey, look, man, we made this play. If this is practice, this quarterback probably doesn't even throw this ball, right? 2 defenders on 1 guy. But in the NFL, just being in position isn't enough because these guys are freaks, man. Some of these guys can make those type of plays. So right here, initially they were in good position, but the finish was not there, man. Better finish by Deontay, even better throw by Mason. But now I want to, like I said, go to the end zone copy so we can really see this thing, baby. And we talked about the O-line last time, right? In terms of some of the pressure they allowed on Mason. This rep, totally different. Now, granted, they don't give you the 3-by-1 alignment, right? So they're not trying to work the ISO on out or get that one-on-one. What they're doing this time, they're running just a little pass rush game, right? A little TE, or a tackle end stunt. So that's the end, that's the tackle. He's coming down to pin him. The problem is they slid his way. So anytime you're to the slide side when you're running the game, yeah, it's done. Because this is the problem. And when I say the slide side, this is what I mean, right? So with this offensive line here, they're sliding the protection this way, okay? So that's what you see 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen on the same side, where you got just 1, 2 on the backside. These guys know that these 2 guys right here, they know they're by themselves. Al knows I can set heavy outside because I have a slide protection, meaning I have a guard, Dotson right here, that's going to help me to the inside. Anytime you get a premier edge rusher like Myles Garrett is, you typically slide protection to him. You typically will have a tight end chipping him and things like that, or you'll have the running back chip him on the way out. TJ Watt gets a lot of that. Bud Dupree was getting it as well. That's what you do. When you start getting the slide protection to you consistently, you know, all right, I'm that guy. But right here though, man, good job. Now look, Dotson gives JC Hassener hand help early. And this is the thing I love about Dotson, man. Very unselfish, man. He understands the position. He understands where to help, where his eyes need to be. So right now off the snap, he's giving you what? Inside hand help on, he's giving JC inside hand help on this on this tackle right here, right? He checked right there to make sure there's no blitz coming, right? Nothing late. Now his eyes are going outside so he can pass off this twist. Because what you don't want to do is I'll follow this guy down and now this guy's able to come across, right? Because that's what you're hunting as the DN. You want to crash this down so this end could come around and you create a natural pick. But Dotson does a good job of not allowing Al to chase this guy down, and now he's going to do what you call a bump tick. So he's shoving him out there. So now Al can respond to it. Granted, he was a little bit late, but he got just enough of him to run him by. Great effort by Al though. But as a whole, man, that was a great job by Dotson. Like I said, stabbing right here, check for the blitz. All right, now get my eyes outside. Let's go. Stop that. Get off me. Get up out of here. Al, gotta go, gotta go. This is beautiful right here, man. That's what's going on in the front. And then and that was to the slide side of the protection. Now to the back side. Now to the back side. Regular little cook right here. Now you saw, we talked about this on the last one, right? We said because Vince was running a vertical route, we didn't get any type of chip or anything, right? Now you have, I think this is Kevin Rader right here. He's running an underneath route, right? A little drag. So even though these guys are wide in their stance, this guy's in a 9 technique and when we talk about the 9 technique, this is what we mean, right? So a 6 technique is head up, okay? 7 technique is slightly inside. And then you have the 9 technique, which will be outside out, okay? Outside, head up. It's going to be more inside shade, okay? But from there, though, good little bump. Get them up out of there. And now they're done over here. This is a cluster, right? They're not going to be able to create any real pressure. And from there, DeCastro just easy clean up. Chooks likes him finish a little bit better, but as a whole, good job keeping that pocket clean for Mason. But this is what we're talking about right here, man. Just look at this. This is beautiful. I mean, let me just. The ball just dropped in. Unreal. I mean, you see these guys, they are right where they need to be. I mean, the only thing that I would critique, I mean, obviously you would want this guy to have gotten on his horse and ran a lot sooner, obviously because Deontay was burning down there. 42. For him to try to get in this play, you would have to just leave your feet and try to play through the hands. But as a whole, man, that's tough. That is a big time throwing catch, man. Big time throwing catch. And Deontay knows it. Juju knows it. That's why the guys are running down there like that, man. But let's look at it again from the sideline. Like I said, for me, man, I'm just happy to see these younger guys stepping up and making these plays consistently, because we know, regardless of this happens, and we're talking about the receivers right here, right? We know when you have these type of positive performances, that carries over. That's going to carry over come playoff time, which we know is going to be impactful. This is when the real season starts. But I'm also excited because for Mason, this is a guy that could potentially be the long-term backup. He could potentially get an opportunity to start whenever Ben decides to hang him up. I want to see more of this. And the fact we got to see a glimpse of it in this game, man, it really was a lot more encouraging than what we saw largely from him last year. Let's go check out some of these, though. Hey, Eli, man, come on, baby. What you mean everybody can't draw, man? Cut me some slack here. Let me see where we're at. Says that he... All right, so... Most toes. I've never heard that before. Shout out to Most Toes. All right, do I believe Ben in his presser today when he says that he is willing to let any QB play if he thinks that will help him win in do I think, or do I look at Mason's tape and think he could be the future? So the first part, in terms of would Ben be open to allowing another quarterback to get on the field? If Ben said he was open to it, I have no reason not to believe him. He's never lied to me personally. In fact, he's always told me the truth. That's my guy. So yeah, if he says it, I do believe it. But obviously, we're not talking about 20 plays. I think he's referring to if it's like something situational. Obviously, the Colts, they do it. We saw it last week with the Colts, they do it with Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers. We talked about that. We saw it last week with Mason and Dobbs. And then obviously the Saints do it with Taysom Hill and Drew Brees as well. Could Ben be open to something like that? If it's working, sure. But we both know if it's not working, he gives you the best opportunity to win right now. So I feel like I wouldn't want a lot of it if it's stagnant, if it's not working. And the second part, in terms of do I think after watching tape on Mason, he could be the future? The problem is this: when we're talking about the future, we want our future to be like Ben, right? We want it to be that level of play, right? Just come and replace the Hall of Famer, be Aaron Rodgers, right? I don't know if Mason is capable of that at this stage in his career. He's shown flashes, but like we said, we haven't seen a large sample size. So for me to say he's the future, I'm not ready to say that. Do I think he has potential to be a good starter though? I do think he has that potential, and we saw glimpses of it this past game against the Browns. The biggest thing is this though: to be a good starter, it's not just one game. You got to do it over and over and over and over. So until we get a larger sample size of Mason, it's hard to say that, but I do think that he can be a decent starter if given more opportunities. All right. Oh, and who do I think will be the defensive X factor on Sunday, J-Dub? T.J. Watt. I mean, let's be real. We saw some of the pressure that the Browns were allowing with Alex Highsmith, with guys like Chris Wormley. Actually, we're going to break down the Highsmith sack in a second. But those guys, I mean, they're good, but they're still not on TJ and Cam Hayward's level. I just feel like when TJ comes out there, he's going to be facing Jack Conklin, the right tackle. And I just think that's going to be a nightmare matchup for Jack. TJ is playing like a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, like the front runner of it. And I anticipate him continuing that. And let's be real, he's owned the Browns throughout his career, man. Some of his best games have come against them. So I don't see why that's going to change, especially when you factor in all of the other things that they have going on from a COVID standpoint and things like that. All right, I don't know what that is. Get up out of here. And you're right, it is arrested TJ. Yes, indeed. Oh, and Ryan, in terms of some of my best friends during my playing career, geez, dude, I have a ton of them, honestly. But the guys that stick out to me the most, Lawrence Timmons, that was my guy. Law Dog, obviously Debo, talk to him still to this day. That's my dude. Shazier, and then Vince Williams, man. Those are the guys, and yeah, still Bud Dupree, Dangerfield. It's like I said, it's a lot because we were a very, very close-knit group. I mean, you talk, we would hang out, kick at everybody's house like weekly, daily, like. So it's different. It's a little different, man. But yeah, man, with this full team coming back, baby, I just like our chances. I like it a lot. All right. All right, so let's go to this next one real quick. All right, now this is the where are we at? Oh, had to make sure I have my little dab rag, keep my little sweat off my forehead. Yeah. All right, let's find where this play is. This is the Alex Highsmith sack right before the, this was right after the 2-minute warning. Okay. All right, found it, and here we go, So first off, circle Mr. Highsmith, that's where he is, and then you know how we do this thing, play it at full speed, and then we'll break it down. All righty. So first off, and what we'll do is this, I'm going to show you it a little bit from the wide because I want to talk a little bit of the coverage. And then there's one particular thing that you can see a little bit better with Highsmith's rush from the sideline copy. And then from there, we'll go to the tight angle where you can see a lot more of the details associated with his rush. But just a quick, overview of it, because you always want to work big picture and then you want to narrow it down, right? So for the defense, man, they're running it's a Tampa 2 defense, but it's a simulated pressure out of it, okay? So what we like to call it's a simulated Tampa 2 defense. That's all it is. I don't know what they call it right now. We ran similar stuff, but not this exactly, okay? And as we talked about last time, a simulated pressure is when you got your 4 guys, right? Or excuse me, you're only gonna have 4 guys rushing, but you give the illusion of it being more than 4 guys. So right now, the illusion is what? All 5 of these guys are coming. You look at Ola's feet right here. This is his rush stance, right? He fooled me, and I watch him a lot. I'm like, man, dude, I thought you were rushing, and the whole time he's dropping out of this thing, right? But you got that view of 5 guys, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Simulated pressure, though, one of these guys have to drop out. Now, we talked about the last simulated pressure we broke down. It was Cam Sutton coming on a blitz, and I think it was Vince Williams who dropped out. So right here, they're gonna do this, okay? All right. Because it's Tampa 2, he's gonna be your middle runner, okay? And we talked about middle runner, right? You're looking to number 3. And if it's 2, and you're looking for number 3, if it's 3 by 1, right? Meaning 1, 2, 3 receivers to one side, right? So he should be opening up this direction, okay? If it was 2 by 2, then he opens up to speed, right? Okay. Yeah, y'all can read that. Y'all know what it says. Leave me alone. So that's his job, right? So he's going to be opening up to number 3, okay? Then right here with Davis, he's going to be half fill over here. And then you got Minka, who has the other half over here. Then Sutton, he's a squat corner. I think that's should be Steven Nelson right there. He's going to be the other squat corner. You're going to have Vince, who's a vertical hook. And vertical hook just means if number 2, which is this guy, if he goes vertical, which is running a vertical route, or if he hooks up inside, right? If he runs vertical and comes inside, it's going to be Vince's guy. If he goes outside, you got the squat corner. And if he runs a downfield play that breaks out, you got the half field safety, okay? So that's his job. The other person that's dropping out, though, because we said it's a simulated pressure, right? It's Ola. He's going to be your vertical hook on the backside of this thing, okay? So you're only going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in the rush, okay? So right here, simulated pressure element of it. Ola, nice step forward, because what does that do? It gets this guy's attention. If you're Ola and you just ball snap, just sit right back out here, this guy's looking right now at 2 and he's gonna ear hole him, okay? So if you're 2, you're probably telling this guy, hey man, don't hang me out to dry, don't undress me, okay? Give me that step before you get up out of there so I can at least get a chance to get a one-on-one, at least get a chance to work half a man before he comes and ear holes me. So Ola does that. And we saw, right, at the beginning of this thing, watch when Ola takes this step, this guy has to kick, he's ready. He's taking 2 kicks now, and now this gives to it. He has either side he wants to work, okay? So from there, now he's dropped out of this thing, all right? And now this is what we have, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the front side of this thing, I love this rush between, like I said, Alex Highsmith and Chris Wormley. This backside, this is what gets you beat right here. Now, granted, it didn't hurt us right here, and it won't hurt you a lot versus Baker because he's not the most fleet-footed, right? But you never want this scenario. Right now, you have 0 contain, meaning this. If Baker were to go this way, right? Highsmith is right here. He'll cut him off. He's contained, right? If Baker goes this way, there's nobody here, okay? Nobody here. So that is dangerous, right? And we saw Baker still take advantage of it a little bit in the game. We said, man, some of the scrambling that he did caught us off guard as a whole. But this is the stuff that you can't have happen, right? The only reason the thing that saves you is this is Chris Wormley, man. His rush, he does a really good job forcing him back to where Highsmith is. But let's go to Highsmith here, okay? Because we've been talking, we haven't got on Mr. Highsmith just yet. All right. So right now, the Browns are in an empty formation, and empty tells you a couple of things. A lot of times people think of empty and they're like, man, they're going to have these elongated routes, they're taking shots. But sometimes you get quick game out of empty because all of these guys up here are having one-on-ones, right? So as we progress this thing, you know, okay, we're going to need to work a little bit. Now, at the beginning of that, Highsmith got a chip block, right? So that lets you know right now if this tight end is chipping. Oh man, I hit the wrong button. 1 second. But we know for a fact, man, when Highsmith is chipping, or excuse me, when that tight end is chipping on Highsmith, as we talked about in the last play, if a eligible receiver, chips someone, more than likely they're not running a downfield right. They're going to be short near the line of scrimmage, okay? And that's definitely what we get right there. We see what? Chip block. This guy's running underneath. He's just running a stop route right over the ball, okay? So nothing major there. So that was why he was able to chip Alex Highsmith right here. But then after the chip, the thing that I was really impressed with by Highsmith is his rush plan. You got to have a rush plan, right? Whether you think it's speed rush, spin move, inside, outside, bull rush, whatever it is, have a plan. And Alex Highsmith has that. So initially he's thinking speed rush, right? See him in a wide nine technique, which we'll see a lot better from the end zone. But now he knows, okay, the speed isn't there. So let's work, okay? I have a two-way go solely because this tackle has boxed in terms of his shoulder pads are facing the line or facing the sideline. He looks like a square. And the reason why we love this as pass rushers is when you get a tackle's shoulders facing the sideline, he has zero power against the bull rush. So typically like this, you can collapse the pocket by just two-hand, helmet in his chest, bull rushing him back to the quarterback. Myles Garrett did just that to Al on the first play he broke down, right? But right here, he gives him the changeup. Gives him a little wiggle, which I absolutely love. Little inside out, or a little outside, or excuse me, here we go. Outside step, inside step, outside. And then we'll get to the inside copy where he does a great job of chopping this guy's hand. But man, that outside, inside, outside, we call it a Euro step. Think about like in basketball, the Euro that's become, that's taken over the NBA. Same thing when you're talking about one-on-one pass rush. We always said, man, one-on-one pass rush for your edge players is no different than one-on-one basketball. Can I shake you? That's what you're trying to do, okay? And let me just check real quick before we get to that portion of it. Got any questions or anything? All right. Let's see. Man, well, first off, Bernard, do I think we're going to sign Spillane to a future deal? Man, absolutely, dude. Spillane's definitely showed more than enough. He's showing that he not only belongs, but he's in the conversation to be a starter. So I feel like with a full offseason, a full training camp, man, he's going to push those guys in terms of Avery Williamson, Devin Bush, Vince Williams. He's going to challenge those guys for playing time, and rightfully so. He's definitely earned that, man. King Nat, tighten up. Oh, Lord. Well, you know what? It's all good. Y'all got y'all a dandy of a matchup against them Ravens. Enjoy. Oh, man. All right, let me see. We got anything? All right. Okay. Oh, did Coach T create the Tampa 2? Destiny, I'm not sure if he created it, but I know he was a big part of it, especially once it became the new thing, right? He was a part of that Super Bowl team down there when they were running with Derek Brooks running that middle run. So I don't know if, like I said, if he was the originator of it, but he was definitely down there when it was first coming out. I guess I don't know the full timeline, but when you talk about a guy that knows that Tampa 2, he knows it extremely well. And I like the fact that he's been able to implement some of that here in Pittsburgh, because we know, well, actually a lot of people don't know this, but Tampa 2, man, it's more so for a 4-3 defense, okay? That's typically why you know how you run it and how you get to it a lot easier, but the Steelers are predominantly a 3-4, right? We typically have two of our outside guys that they're going to be rushing all the time. But we do a good job here now, especially since LeBeau is left, of getting a little bit more multiple with our looks defensively, showing a little bit more of the 4-3 looks, even some 4-2-5 looks at times. So I do like that a lot for this defense. I feel like it's definitely opened up a lot more, and that's solely because of Coach Tomlin and some of the things that he just brings to the table from a defensive standpoint. I mean, anybody that's played for him, dude, he is a brilliant mind. All right, let's get back to this. Okay, So now it's time to focus on this rush. Alex Highsmith right here, Chase Wormley. Obviously, you got Tyson, Tuitt, and we said Ola's dropping out of this thing, right? And let me see, I'm gonna show it to you full speed from the end zone so you can just see these two guys, man. They get after it right here. This is some high quality booty that is getting kicked. All right, let me slow this down for you. So first off, all right, let's talk about Alex Highsmith. So talked about him being in that 9 technique, right? And the 9 technique is solely just him aligning outside of this tight end. Anytime you hear somebody say 9 technique, that's all they're talking about. Outside of the tight end. Now, this is more so a wide 9. Think more Philadelphia Eagles, Trent Cole, Jason Babineau, for those that remember those guys. That's the technique that they started using a lot of, right? Because it's great for the rush, it's great for penetration, kills you in the run though, because this is a big hole, big space that he has to fill, okay? But that's what he's in, a wide 9, all right? And from there, like I said, he gets a little bit of a chip from Austin Hooper. But now watch his hands. Footwork first, bang, bang. That right there, him catching this arm is what makes this rush work. He doesn't catch this arm the way he does. Jedrick Wills gets more than enough of his number right here, and then this offhand to come through and ride him by. But because he catches this hand, watch how it makes Jedrick fall forward a little bit. It ultimately clears his hip. Does a good job in terms of allowing him to bend that corner. Now, regardless of what happens, then obviously he ends up getting forced back into him. If Baker were to take off, if Baker were to take off this way, he's already in pursuit. He's ready to go. You would hope you have a contain, because ultimately when you have a rush like this, you want to make this guy have to come back to you, and that's what happens. But as a whole, man, this is beautiful hand work right here by Highsmith. And when we talk about can Highsmith replace Bud Dupree? That's been the big question since Bud went down. Can Highsmith give you the same level of productivity as Bud Dupree? He can. This guy right here definitely can. The thing is, he has to do it more consistently. That's the biggest thing, and he's young right now. When you're young, consistency is the big part of it, right? Now, obviously, he doesn't have the same pedigree of being a first-round pick like Bud Dupree, but he's more than athletic enough, definitely fast enough. And like I said, I just love his hands. When you watch him rush, he is very active with his hands. He has a good natural feel for it. And he honestly, man, he had another rush where he beats Jedrick with the inside spin move. Beautiful. He doesn't even get the sack. That was probably the better rush, in my opinion. But you know how it goes, man. Sometimes the great rush, no one even sees it. And then the okay rush is where you get the sack. It's weird how that works. But that's what's going on with Highsmith right here, right? But this is the guy that makes the play for Highsmith, Chase Wormley. Now let's watch him, man, as he gets off this ball, right? Now you see, he's all the way in a 5 technique, right? Because this is the tackle. A 5 technique is when you're outside shade of the tackle, okay? So that's where he's at right now, okay? You see his hand right here on the tackle's foot. So good alignment. And the same thing we talked about with the Browns defensively, with their 3-by-1 front to kind of force an isolation. Steelers are doing a similar thing. They're just trying to get to it a little bit differently. They know this guy's dropping off for the simulated pressure, right? But they also know that, hey, man, they like Tua getting one-on-one matchups. That's what they're hunting right now, and they do get it to an extent, okay? Problem is, this guy reacts back, and Jack Conklin is a really good tackle in this league. I mean, he really is. So he does a good job once he sees Ola bounce, drop out, and he reacts back and close down. But now we have this right here, Mr. Chase Wormley. And the thing that I love with Chase's rush is this. It wasn't even anything spectacular, right? But he's active first off, right? Great get off. Active with his hands. Now, granted, we talked about DeCastro, right? We said, man, on that rush by DeCastro, we give up a little bit of pressure. The defender had got to his numbers first. Right here, the guard has his inside numbers, right? The guard's hand is inside on this 9 by Chase. So if you're Chase, now you have to resort to the next thing, which is what we call when you have to peel off the defender, peel off this offensive lineman's hand, or you want to replace your hands, right? Because that's what you got to do right now. Hand fight, but you're staying active with your feet. And it's hard to see, but Chase's inside hand starts high. Now you see it trying to move, but this is a good guard right here. He's doing a good job of ultimately pinning his hand. And what Chase does is he says, okay, I'm not going to get the move I want, which I think he was trying to sky this shoulder and then rip with this offhand. It's a basic rush move for interior defensive lineman, right? Just a rip move where you try to get your hand above your eyes. We call it skying the rip. It ultimately clears your hips, clears his hands off of you. That's what he's trying to do. But this guard right here, he says, okay, I'm gonna sit heavy on that. So Chase's response to that is what? I'm gonna use your leverage against you, and now we're gonna counter you. You see him counter inside, the guard falls forward, and now he has to resort to holding. But also, what does it do, right? And we said no contain. If Baker's a faster quarterback or he believes in himself, this is Lamar Jackson, one of those types, this could be bad, right? Because he could take off. But since Baker isn't that fast, he doesn't feel he can get away from him. So what does it do? Forces him back inside to Alex Highsmith, who was already coming around with a really good rush on Jedrick Wills. As a whole, man, that was beautiful D-line play. And we talk about why you think we're so excited and why I think the X factor will be the D-line come Sunday, because they were doing this without TJ and Cam. That's why. This is gonna be, it's a lot different when you got Cam running these stunts with you, man. When you got Cam in this one-on-one right here. But this is big time, man. This is really good hand usage. Like I said, good counter. This is what you want to see. And reaching with the offhand, try to get some of that, man. Get involved in it. But I thought it was a really big play by the young guy right here, Alex Highsmith, and really good job by Chris Wormley, man. Like I said, winning inside, forcing Baker to go back outside. Yes, indeed. Let me see if we have any questions or anything, man. Yeah, Chris Wormley. That's what we say. We got you right. I'm with you, baby. I said, yes, Chris. Let me enunciate a little bit better for you. Chris. All right, let's see. Oh, hey, well, Jason, appreciate you. So Jason said that he's getting Art Most Experience with Deke podcast hoodie for his son. Shout out to you, Jason, and anybody that wants to support, like I said, man, under all of the YouTube videos that are already posted, you will see the link for all the merchandise for the podcast, Art Most Experience with Deke. We have hoodies, men's shirts, the women's shirts, they run a little bit small. So I would say if you're a woman, go with a small men's size, all right? Yeah, a small women's shirt that I ordered fits like my 14-year-old daughter. Just throwing it out there, all right? But we also got coffee mugs as well, and the proceeds are going to the local food bank here in Pittsburgh, man. So anything you do, any purchase that you make, just know the money's going to the good place, baby. So definitely appreciate that support. All right. Oh, yeah, and Moats, man. I said Moats. And Big Wiggle, you're right, man. The Browns, they did use a lot of their bigger body personnel groupings, and that shows up a lot on tape by them. They like to do that, number one, because when we know the Browns, they run the ball a lot, right? They are Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt driven, but then they play action pass off of that and take shots off of that. They're one of the rare groups that get bigger body personnel groupings to take shots, similar to Baltimore, similar to Tennessee. You'll see the 12 and 13 personnel when they want to take those shots downfield. It's a different way to go about it, but it works for what they're trying to do, especially, since everything is predicated off of the run for them. So that's definitely the thing that they're trying to do there. And Madaka, I'm not even gonna butcher your last name, but in terms of what does Cleveland have besides the run game, that they have that in terms of an advantage. Now, this is obviously, we were speaking prior to the COVID outbreak. Their biggest thing that they do is their play action pass. That I do think is a huge advantage for them because it looks identical to the run, and we know, especially this last game, man, we struggled a little bit at the linebacker position with some of the play action passing, with some of the crossing routes. We had a little bit of some miscommunication on some of the touchdowns that were happening and some of the passes that were happening throughout the game. So, but that's what you get when you play action pass off of a successful run game. So those are the things that the Browns do really well. Now, granted, I don't know if it's going to be to that full extent because of the COVID situation. They're going to be without Joel Bitonio, who was a 3-time Pro Bowler, a really good player, just got voted to another Pro Bowl this year. With him not being out there and some of these other guys, I don't know how they're going to do that successfully. And then defensively, I mean, Myles Garrett is probably their biggest advantage, but he's still talking about how he's still dealing with some of the lingering effects of COVID as well. So they just lost Olivier Vernon for the rest of the season. Obviously, playoff time here, but he ruptured his Achilles. So regardless of what happens with Cleveland as it pertains to the playoffs, he won't be available to them. So to me, their biggest advantage is Myles Garrett in that running game. That's about it right now. All right. Oh, we all the way in SoCal. All right. Shout out to you, Sandy. All right. All right. I like it. Oh, and do I think Juju will get a new contract? Kelly V. I do think he will, and we're talking about in Pittsburgh, I'm assuming, but this is the thing. If it does happen in Pittsburgh, it will be for less than his true market value. And that's solely because if he was able to hit the open market, I mean, that's when you get the dance partners, right? That team wants to negotiate, that team wants to negotiate, and then once you got two teams that are willing to negotiate against each other, the numbers just keep running up higher and higher. But if he were to stay in Pittsburgh, I do think that he would have to take less, obviously because of the cap situation. We talked about Ben's cap number next year. We also know TJ Watt is in line for a massive contract extension. One of those, highest paid defender in NFL history. One of those type of contracts he's in line for. So we know that, yeah, we're not going to be able to pay everyone to their full market value. That's a big reason why Bud Dupree is more than likely going to be gone this offseason as well. But I do think if Juju stays, like I said, I think they'll definitely submit him an offer, but he's going to have to decide whether he wants to go and get his full market value or if he wants to take less but stay here in Pittsburgh. Yes, indeed. Oh, we got some Wentz going on. All right, that's gonna be interesting, man. Oh yeah, no doubt, Kelly, no doubt. All right, let me see. Oh, and Overture, in terms of our red zone offense improving come playoff time, I do think it will, but I think it's gonna be a lot in terms of this game. I think it'll be better, but it's going to be solely because of some of the things that the Browns have going on from a personnel standpoint. When you talk about that many players not being available, coaches not being available, they're going to have some issues communicating. They're going to have some issues personnel wise. I just think that, Ben and the guys take full advantage of that in every aspect, whether we're talking in the middle of the field, backed up, or red zone. I just think that they have the best chance to do that. So, yeah. But I will say this, man. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in thus far. In terms of some more film and things like that, we're going to do a lot more of these things, like I said. But, I can't give it to you all at one time, baby. So with that being said, I appreciate you. Enjoy your night. I hope you enjoyed this session because I did. And as always, here we go. Steelers, baby.